The Last Letter from Rosehill Manor, a sleep story from 1847. Tonight, as the world grows quiet, as your thoughts soften, and the edges of the day begin to blur, let me take you to another place, another time. Close your eyes and breathe in gently. Now, imagine an old countryside manor, its windows fogged with the breath of early spring, its gardens tangled with ivy and thyme. There, in a quiet attic, a letter waits, unopened, forgotten. Written in the year 1847, by a hand that trembled with both love and sorrow. This is a story about memory, about devotion, and the quiet power of a letter never sent. Let your body sink deeper into comfort. Let your mind drift. And come with me to Rosehill Manor. It was late March when Clara Wetherell first arrived at Rosehill. The train from London had been slow, winding through green fields and sleeping villages. She stepped off at the last station, the platform soaked with mist, and took a carriage the final miles. She had inherited the manor unexpectedly, a distant cousin's bequest, a cousin she had never met. She had no real plans for the place, only a lingering sense of curiosity and the need for quiet. The manor rose from the hill like something from a fading painting. Stone walls streaked with rain, tall windows, their panes reflecting a sky of silver gray, and a great oak door that creaked with age as it opened to greet her. Inside, time had slowed. Wooden beams stretched across the ceilings. Books lined the walls, dust gathering on leather spines. A grandfather clock ticked solemnly in the hall. Clara wandered room to room. There were oil portraits whose eyes followed her kindly, a piano slightly out of tune. And the scent, that deep, forgotten scent of roses and old wood. But it was the attic, the quietest room of all, that called to her most. The attic was lit by a single round window, dusty with cobwebs. Old trunks lined the walls, blankets, journals, faded garments folded neatly and packed away. She opened a small trunk, trimmed in brass. Inside, lace gloves, yellowed papers, a velvet ribbon, and beneath them all, a box, wooden, worn smooth, locked. She lifted it. There was no key, but the latch was brittle. It gave way with a soft snap. Inside the box, one envelope, unaddressed, sealed in wax, stamped with a rose. The parchment was brittle, the edges curled like autumn leaves. Clara turned it over, her hands trembling slightly. She broke the seal and read, "My dearest Elizabeth, it is the 24th day of October, 1847. I write this by candlelight, seated at the window where you once stood. The rain taps against the pane, just as it did on the evening you first arrived at Rosehill. You said the rain made you feel safe, that it silenced the world outside and let your heart be still. I never forgot that. I do not know if this letter will ever find you. I do not know if you even think of me, but I must write it, not because I expect a reply, but because your silence is the loudest thing I've ever known. I remember everything. The day you came here as a guest of my sister, the first evening we dined beneath the chandelier, your laughter lifting like music through the room. The morning we walked through the garden, and you asked the names of every flower. Do you remember the willow tree by the stream? You touched its bark like it was something sacred. You said you'd never seen a tree look so much like a person bowing their head in prayer. And I remember the day you left, the way you didn't say goodbye, only that you'd return before the leaves turned. But they fell, and still you were gone. Every day I walk to the edge of the garden and I wait. Foolish, perhaps. But I've learned that love does not listen to reason. It listens only to the echo of footsteps. And I have been waiting to hear yours. I have not told my sister, nor the staff. They would think me mad. But I see you, in the mirror by the stairs, in the glint of afternoon light on the stairwell, in dreams. I have written 100 letters, burned most of them. This one I cannot burn. This one is the last. If you ever return to Rosehill, find this letter. Let it tell you what I could not. That I loved you. And that even now, as the candle burns low and the rain grows colder, I still do. Yours always, Edmund. Clara sat in silence. The letter trembled slightly in her hands. She did not know who Elizabeth was, nor Edmund, but she could feel them, as if their emotions had lingered in the attic air all this time. She placed the letter back in the box and carried it downstairs. That night, Clara lit a fire in the sitting room. Outside, rain swept gently across the hills. Inside, the letter lay beside her, wrapped in a linen cloth. She thought of Edmund, of his waiting, of love unanswered, and the silence that followed. And as she drifted to sleep beside the hearth, something strange happened. She dreamed. She stood beneath the willow tree by the stream, the same tree Edmund had written of. The air was thick with the perfume of spring. Birdsong trickled from the woods beyond. And there, across the garden, a figure, a man in 19th century dress, his back to her. He turned, slowly. Eyes that seemed familiar, sad, hopeful. He did not speak. He only reached out a hand, palm upward. And beside him, another woman, dressed in a soft gown of blue, her eyes warm, her smile like sunlight on water. Elizabeth. Clara could feel it. She watched them reach for each other, fingers brushing, eyes closing, the garden dissolving into gold. And then, silence, a peaceful silence. Clara woke the next morning to the sound of birds. The rain had stopped. The world outside washed clean. She returned to the attic. This time, she placed the letter gently back in the box, but left the box open. She did not need to keep it sealed. Some love stories are not meant to be hidden, only heard. As she stood at the attic window, the wind whispered through the trees. And somewhere, in the quiet folds of time, perhaps Edmund and Elizabeth had found each other once more. Now, sleep. Let your breath fall slow. Let the echo of rain and old letters carry you deeper, into dreams, into stillness, into peace. Good night.